What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back. And, we're going to talk about the top 25 rankings this week. There's a few big changes, but, not too much is changing. Not a lot of games played due to COVID. And, you're going to see the same thing this week and along with Christmas. So, not too much probably will change next week either, but we're going to jump right into it here. And you got Arkansas and North Carolina dropping from the rankings, two teams that lost pretty bad, especially North Carolina losing by 29 to Kentucky. And that's just really ugly loss. But this North Carolina team has been up and down all year. And come March, they're probably going to be like a 7-8 seed at best.
Yeah, I guess I'll talk about Arkansas. I thought they might have been the best team in the SEC, about 2 weeks ago. And, that loss is just, it doesn't make sense how you lose that game at home to Hofstra. So that team's got a lot of thinking to do. They've fallen all the way out of our rankings and the AP rankings. So they've really been in a free fall the last week or two. So they got a lot to figure out. And then North Carolina, that just makes our Michigan loss look a lot worse.
And you have some teams here that are entering, but unfortunately don't make the top 25. You got Wake Forest, who's quietly 10-1 right now, putting together a pretty solid year. ACC play is just kicking off, so we're really going to see how good this Wake Forest team is. And Illinois, after the rocky start with kind of a hard schedule and a few upset losses, they're getting their, name back up there. The preseason favorites to win the Big Ten. And, all the other teams, I believe, were on here last week as well. Just no strong cases yet, but West Virginia is definitely a team to look out for because it seems like always when the new year starts, they start making their run. So they're right there, but just missing the cut.
Yeah, Texas Tech, I guess I'll allude to them. Didn't really compete as much with Gonzaga as I thought they would, but they were playing without Terrence Shannon, which was a big loss for them. So nothing really to hang their head on. I think they'll be fine. And I would say them and Illinois are the two best teams out of this group here right now.
And coming in at 25, we got the UConn Huskies, who tough loss at home against Providence, but now Providence is ranked this week, so it's, not too bad of a loss. But, it was their only game last week, had all week to prepare for it, and then he lost. And now you're going into Marquette, which is a pretty tough place to play. They're putting some fight up against all these teams this year. And yeah, they may be 8-4, but they're a pretty good 8-4 team this year. But to UConn's credit, they're still trying to figure some things out. It's early in the year. They've had some good games, some bad games. But 25th, just cracking the top 25, I think is a good fit for them right now.
All right, we got Oklahoma at 24. This team really had no expectations coming into this season, and they've really proved a lot of people wrong. Obviously, last Saturday, they had the dominant win over Arkansas that really put them on the map as a tournament team. And it just shows how good of a coach Porter Moser is, just putting together a really good roster in a short amount of time. So this team should be here to stay.
And at 23rd, we got Colorado State, who didn't play at all last week, and they're not playing this week due to COVID. And quietly a 10-0 team. They finally are getting the love they deserve after, still being undefeated right now. So, not much to be said about this team. They're going to stay around this area for probably another week, as they don't play. But to their credit, 10-0 is a great start.
Well, this is a surprising one, but it makes sense. We got Villanova falling way down in our rankings and the AP rankings. We have them at 22. They have them at 23. So it's justified. At some point, you got to start falling when you have 4 losses in December. That's just how it is. I know 3 of their losses have been to really good teams. But bottom line, they should have won at least one of those games, if not 2 of them. They didn't. So now they find themselves at 7-4 after a really disappointing loss to Creighton, opening Big East play with a loss. So this team has to figure out a 7th, 8th, 9th player that they can go to in their lineup because they have no depth right now and it's really hurting them. Their guys are getting winded by the end of games and, end of games, closing them out, it's not going well for Villanova, and they got to figure it out or they're going to be 7-5 because Xavier's a good team.
And coming in at 21st, we got the Providence Friars, who we were just talking about, upset UConn at their place, and 11-1. A team no one really expected to be in this position in the Big East right now. It seems like almost every year it's been a yearly occurrence that there's Big East teams that slowly start earning the respect throughout the year. And it's not a conference we expect all these good teams to be good right now. But right now it's just kind of a crazy college basketball season. And honestly, the Big East may be the most competitive conference so far. You got teams that are 9-1, 11-1, 9-3 in UConn. Creighton, who's, pulling off some upsets. Villanova, who knows what they're going to do the rest of the year. And we've been talking about how the SEC or Big Ten was the big, who's going to win that, because we don't know. But I think the Big East is the one that's more up in the air now out of all the conferences moving forward. But to this Providence Fire credit, 11-1 through 12 games. I mean, you got to be happy if you're a Providence fan. For sure looking like a tough team to play against going forward, and a tournament team nonetheless that, they're going to play every possession like it's their last.
All right, well, we stick with the Big East here. We got Xavier at number 20 with a big matchup at Villanova this week, which could determine the Big East champion at the end of the season. Who knows? Xavier's been a really quiet team as well. They had a little more expectations than, like a Providence who's up there with them, but still weren't expected to start 11-1, that's for sure. So it's been a great surprise for Xavier, losing a couple key players to injuries at the start of the season, and they haven't missed a beat, winning 11 of their first 12 games. Villanova, though, that's going to be a tough task going in there to win that one. I don't know if I see Villanova falling to 0-2 in the Big East, but if there's a team that can beat them again, I think it'd be Xavier. So we'll see if they can do it.
19th, we got Kentucky in a blowout win against UNC. They weren't even supposed to play each other, at least on the first day. And some games got canceled due to COVID, and these two were healthy. So they just decided, well, let's just play. And I bet you UNC wishes they never said that. Bad loss for them. It's going to be a great win for Kentucky come March. That's going to boost them up maybe a seed or two, just because of how dominant this win was. And it was a neutral site. So, no home game, technically an away game. And now they're looking to build on the new year. They don't play this week. They were supposed to play, got canceled against Louisville today. And I don't know. I'm kind of liking this Kentucky team through 10 games. It's been an up and down right now, I think, through 10 games. But I think John Calipari's got to be happy at where they are. It's a super young team yet again. And moving forward, I think this team is looking around a 3-4 seed come March.
All right, we got Tennessee, another SEC team here at 18. Neither of us have been super high on this team the whole year. And, they haven't really beat a team that's really great yet. They beat North Carolina, but, they've kind of been slipping lately. So you get Arizona this week, there's their chance to really prove themselves. Mm-hmm. To me, they haven't proved themselves yet. Maybe to other people they have, but they have the pieces. But they had the pieces last year, and they kind of just fell off at the end of the season. So I think they have the potential to be right at the top of the SEC. It's just a matter of whether they can put it together like they failed to do last year. So beating Arizona would be a good start to that. And, if they can do that, I think they'll be at the top.
And coming in at 17th, we got LSU, who, yes, you're reading that right, is 11-0 right now. And pretty much no one's even talked about this program since the Ben Simmons era, the scandals on how he got there. And now we're starting to talk about him again in a positive way. Slowly making that jump up. And this, coming into this year, no one really thought LSU was going to be a team in the SEC to, contend, just really even talk about and have a shot. But right now they're proving all those people wrong. I know they really haven't started SEC play it yet, but winning all your non-conference games to start the year shows that you're a pretty good team. It's a tall task to do as what I think there's 6 or 7 teams remaining that are unbeaten, and all of them are ranked now. And to their credit, they're going to be better than the football team was this year. And that's, saying something about how LSU is. But they got Lipscomb this week. I expect another win, moving to 12-0 and possibly moving up next week.
All right, we got Texas here at 16, another team who was ranked very high at the start of the season and has kind of fallen off. But I think they'll really get it figured out as the season goes on. Obviously, they had a bunch of transfers coming in that were making up a lot of their key pieces. So you could expect a little bit of struggling at the start of the season for a team like that, a bunch of new guys that aren't really meshing yet. But I think Texas, they have a top 5 coach, I'd say, in the country, in Chris Beard. So just with that and all the talent they have, you got to expect them to figure it out and start to make the climb here in the rankings. I think they'll be right up there with Kansas in the Big 12. So cupcake game this week. But as we get into Big 12 play, I think they'll start to prove why they're ranked in the top 5 to start the season.
15th, we've got the Buckeyes, and there's not really much to be said about this team right now. Game got canceled due to COVID, and they didn't play it all last week, won't play it all this week, and they're looking to go into the new year, staying healthy and being able to play all their games.
All right, we got Seton Hall here at 14. I always talk high about this team because they beat Michigan, so it makes us look a little better if Seton Hall keeps winning. But that win over Texas, I think, was really big for them to kind of prove that the Michigan win wasn't the only thing they're going to do to keep them in the top 25. So now they're in the top 15. So this team has really put together all their athletic pieces this year. They play great defense. They can shoot the ball. They have a lot of things going for them. And if they can win that game against DePaul, I think this team could definitely win the Big East because, like you said, it's wide open. There's 5 or 6 teams that could win the conference, and Seton Hall is one of them.
At 13th, we got the Michigan State Spartans, who it feels like we haven't really talked about a lot this year. Quietly at 9-2, a team that wasn't ranked to start the year, but we know Tom Izzo's the coach, and he gets them ranked every year. And they got Oakland this week at Oakland, going across the state technically. Should be a good game. I expect State to still come out on top, but this Oakland team will give them some fight, at least in the first half. And it looks like State's going to probably be 10-2 going into the new year.
Or we got Auburn coming in here at number 12. I think this might be the most underrated team in the country, right up there with Michigan State. This team, no one's really talking about them, and quietly, they might be the best team in the SEC, even better than Alabama. They have a chance to prove it here coming up. Murray State's a good team. I think they're 11-1 with a win over Memphis, so that's no easy game. And then next week, they play LSU. That's a huge game to start SEC play. But this team, it seems like every year, they can shoot the lights out, and, they get up and down the court. They're fast, they can shoot, so they're a really dangerous team that no one really wants to play, and that's why they keep surging in the rankings.
In 11th, we got Houston. Still going to talk about that tough loss to Alabama. And I think if they win that game right now, they're 12-1. For sure a top 10 team, possibly even top 5 at the rate, all the rankings have been shaking up over the weeks. And I think it was a great week last week for them, winning in Oklahoma State, at their place. They've been pretty good the last few years, and I think that's going to be a very underrated win for them going down the stretch, because I think Oklahoma State is a really solid team. We haven't ranked them yet, I think, this year. I don't know. I may be wrong, but they've at least, got some consideration on being in our rankings. And once again, I think it's going to be a quiet year for Houston getting into until they get to March, because their conference is, who knows with the American. But 11-2 right now. I think, was it Kelvin Sampson? That's their coach, right?
Yeah.
I think he's got to be really happy on how they play, especially coming off that Final Four run. they're looking to repeat, to get to the Final Four and bring one home this year. And, you could even say it's a better team than last year as well.
All right. Well, speaking of Alabama, we got them coming in at number 10. I thought they were a top 5 team going into last week. And then the Memphis game, I mean, that was just kind of a shocker for me. A program that was just a dumpster fire at the time. And Memphis went out there and just dominated Alabama. It seemed like they threw about 25 to 30 alley-oops on them. And Alabama couldn't shoot the three, which is what they're known for. And they couldn't get out in transition. So that's a problem. They got exposed a little bit, showing that if they play a team as athletic as them, that they could struggle. So they got to get that figured out. I don't think it's anything to worry about too much. I think they're still a really good team. Next week, they're going to play Tennessee to start SEC play. Big game for them. So nothing to worry about yet, but definitely a little alarming, that Memphis game.
At ninth, we got USC cracking the top 10 and 13-0. Just wow. I mean, that's all you can say right now. Beating some pretty solid teams, Georgia Tech last week, very good team in the ACC. And just wins is just what they do this year, I guess. Not playing this week. Gonna get that much needed bye. I think they have played the most games out of any FBS school right now in 13. And they're I think they want to keep playing just because they're hot. Obviously they haven't lost, so you can say they're hot. But I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it over there in California. It's a Pac-12. Oregon was supposed to be that team this year, run the conference, and what are they? 6-7, I believe.
Yeah, they're bad.
They're bad, and the Pac-12 is wide open. You got USC, Arizona coming up here in our rankings. Those two teams came out of nowhere, looking like the front runners right now for the Pac-12.
All right, at number 8, we got Iowa State, who, obviously we keep saying it. They won 2 games last year, and all of a sudden they're 11-0. They deserve to be here, despite winning ugly, to put it nicely. In a few instances, most recently they beat Jackson State 47-37. Nothing to write home about, but they keep winning. They beat some good teams. They'll get to 12-0, but I got it right here. Their Big 12 schedule. We're going to learn about them. They go Baylor, Texas Tech, at Oklahoma, at Kansas, Texas, at Texas Tech. First 6 games. That's a gauntlet. So great story right now for Iowa State, but they're going to be tested right away in the Big 12s, and that's going to be interesting. So right now they deserve to be here, but their ranking is going to go way up or way down, it seems like, here soon.
I think 3-3, has to be the goal. Especially, with some tough away games. And obviously you're facing the best, 5 teams in the Big 12 this year to start it off. Like I didn't even know that schedule is kind of crazy. But, once again, we're really going to see what they're made of in the next month. It's put up or shut up time for Iowa State.
Yep.
And coming in at 7, we got the Arizona Wildcats. So I was just talking about. Really their first true test, I think, going into Tennessee this week, and they're going to put that perfect record on the line. 11-0, couldn't ask for a better start if you're Arizona. When we were watching that Michigan game, a month ago, we were like, wow, Michigan is bad. They don't look good. Well, I think it's just more or less that Michigan didn't have a good game, and Arizona is just that good. Definitely a team that you're going to have to think deeply of come March, because this team could make a surprise run at the rate they are playing right now. Right now they're projected 2 seed on where we're ranking them, but they're playing like a 1 seed, and I think they're not afraid to back down to any challenge right now. And I think we're going to see what they're made of this week. If they can go into Tennessee, win that game, 12-0, I think for sure they're going to be a top 5 team next week.
All right, we got Kansas here at 6, and I think this is exactly what they deserve to be. I think they're a really good team who hasn't proved that they're consistent enough to be a top 5 team just yet. They, just looking at their last two games, they blow out Missouri, who's, not the best team ever, but beat them by about 40 on their home court. And then, this weekend they come out and they struggle to get by Stephen F. Austin. So they've really kind of been up and down, about as up and down as you can be for being a 9-1 top 10 team. I mean, they're still filled with talent, obviously, but they got to get a little more consistent because once you get into Big 12 play, you're not really having any nights off. You're playing tough teams basically every game. So they just got to get that figured out, and I think they'll be fine. I think they're definitely the favorite here in the Big 12. So if they can start out with a couple wins in their Big 12 schedule, I think this is definitely the team to beat in that conference.
And coming in at 5, we got UCLA. COVID impacted program right now. I hate talking about it, but it's just what it is still to this day in late 2021 here. But still a really solid team. Hoping they can all get healthy soon so we can see them back out on the court. Obviously, they don't play this week, didn't play last week, but there's nothing really else to talk about except them hopefully getting healthy here in the upcoming week.
All right, we got Gonzaga here at number 4. They got through Texas Tech. Good job on their part. Now they don't have a tough game until, I don't know, at least February, looking at their schedule here. So getting through that game, now they get like a month and a half long rest, which is what I call West Coast Conference play for the most part, just a long rest for Gonzaga. So I mean, I would think their ranking's going to slowly kind of move up as teams lose. Looking at the schedule, I guess February 5th at BYU, that's their next really losable game. So for a while, they're just going to coast in January. So not much to talk about going forward.
And at 3, we got the Duke Blue Devils, who coming off, pretty jam-packed week, 3-0. And now you're going in ACC play at home against Virginia Tech, which is a very risky game. I know you're at home, so you get a benefit of the doubt there. But, starting the ACC play, teams are out for you, especially when you're, third in the nation. The team to beat in the ACC, you're getting that team's best game every game from here on out because everyone's going to want to dethrone you guys. So I think if Duke can really make a big statement win here, win by 10 or more, I think Duke is probably going to run through the ACC in all honesty. We thought maybe North Carolina, maybe a few other teams as well, but Duke's really put a strong holding on the ACC so far this year, and I expect that to continue.
All right, Purdue holding steady here at number 2. They needed that performance they had against Butler, going out and just dominating that game. They really needed that for their confidence. Obviously, they had 2 poor performances in a row the week before, so good for them to get back on track. They got 2 cupcake games coming up here to get into Big Ten play, and then obviously, as we know, Big Ten play, never really a night off there. It's a gauntlet. So we'll learn more about Purdue, but I do think they're the clear-cut favorite to win that conference. So if they can play like they did against Butler, they'll do it at 18-2 or 19-1. If they play like they did the week before that, they'll struggle to win the conference. So we'll see.
And at 1, staying at 1, we got the defending champion Baylor Bears, who I believe they were ranked around the 20th to start the year, maybe not even ranked. I'm not 100% sure, but ugly win at Oregon. The Pac-12 favorite to start the year, really sliding. Probably not even going to be a tournament team at the rate they're going right now. And I think though they did get Oregon's best game they played in a while. It was kind of like their mini Super Bowl in Eugene, but unfortunately, they couldn't pull off the upset. Baylor got the win, and they're 10-0. I feel like this Baylor team is even better than last year. Losing Davion Mitchell is a huge, huge loss, but some transfers, freshmen, guys that were just rotation guys last year are stepping up in a huge way. That's why we see them here at number 1. This week, they got Alcorn State. should be another win, move to 11-0, and stay atop our rankings for next week. And, that's going to do it for us today. If you like this video, make sure you go check out all our other rankings from, seeing where teams have moved since those rankings. If you're on TikTok, go follow our TikTok, bench_buddies. We're going to be doing some sports betting stuff on TikTok and maybe some previews of upcoming videos as well. So make sure you follow that, and the Instagram as well. Make sure you're up to date, so when we post our newest videos, you'll have the updates there. And you got to subscribe to our channel too. Hit that little button, subscribe, click the bell, be notified when we post as well. But until the next time, thanks for watching. The Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.